Welcome to Every Day is a New Day.
Kim O'Neill from KimO'NeillCoaching.com.
We are live. Welcome to another episode of the Every Day is a New Day show, where I have inspiring conversations with awesome guests about moving forward and choosing to embrace a positive outlook. My name is Kim O'Neill. In addition to being your host, I'm also a personal empowerment and interview confidence coach. And if you'd like to find out more about me, the Every Day is a New Day show, and how I can support you in building your confidence in both your personal and professional life, then I invite you to book a consultation with me over at KimO'NeillCoaching.com. And I look forward to connecting. If you're watching us live, that means you've found us on Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching. Or if you're watching the replay, then you've found us on YouTube. Either way, welcome to you. So happy to have you here. Please do like, comment, and share throughout the live broadcast as well as during the replay. We love connecting with you and, of course, answering your questions, especially live if we're able to. And I'm excited to introduce to you today's guest, which is Cece Shatz. Hi, Cece.
Hi, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a thrill to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to have you here. Cece does a lot of things. So I've already told her, you know what, I'm just going to give a brief bio on her and to fill you in on what we're going to be talking about today. And then she is going to be able to elaborate and fill us in on all the juiciness of it. So Cece Shatz is the divorce dating talk show host of Going Solo with Cece. She's also the founder, CEO of WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, the Internet Singles Talk Radio TV network. And she calls herself the Doyenne of divorce and more. And that's just Cece in a very tiny nutshell.
I didn't realize I do so much stuff until we start talking about it. But yeah, so it's amazing because I started all this after my divorce, and my divorce was very, very difficult for me. And I thought my life was over. Now my life is so filled. It's like my cup is runneth over. I mean, I'm just so excited about where my life is going, what I'm doing. It's just amazing. And so the Doyenne it's kind of like a leadership or, a connection with others. And my focus is really on divorce recovery, transition into dating, and really building relationships, because as we move forward in our lives, we're all about connecting with people. We're all about moving forward, having a relationship. How do we make it work for not only us, but for the other party? So it's just really an awesome way to be able to, build your life from really the ground floor and do it in a very positive way.
I absolutely love that. So my personal experience, I've also been through a divorce, and I refer to it now. It's been almost 20 years now, but I refer to it now as, oh, the hell and the healing, because that was absolutely a big part of it is, this very tragic, unexpected incidents. I say tragic because that's what it feels like when you're not expecting to get divorced. I don't think anybody gets married expecting to then at some point get divorced. And it can just feel like your entire world is crumbling, but so much beauty and strength and so much positive, things can come from it. So will you share with us, what that journey was like for you when you went through your divorce and how you got to where you are today, helping other people with theirs?
Well, I've been very lucky because I've had great people in my life. I started, with the divorce support group. I didn't begin the group myself. A good friend, Katie, she started it. And then Carla and I took it over. And then Carla met someone and she left the group. And then I stayed with it because it just really gave me a platform. It gave me, and I was still healing, and I feel like as we move forward, we're constantly evolving into who we're becoming. We're never really kind of finished with that process, but it just really gave me a stepping stone. It really allowed me to be able to start developing into who I really am. And so I found that I loved it. We have something kind of unique in our group. It's my whole platform is Going Solo Network, and we have various different groups, but the uniqueness of it is it's called Pay It Forward. And it's not about me. It's not about me being the coach and the leader and all of that. It's about the ones that are connecting, the ones that are, fulfilling their lives through other people, connecting with them. And so what they do is, like, whatever platform you might be at, whatever plateau you might be at, they're pulling the other ones up to that plateau, and the ones ahead of them are pulling them up. So they're constantly evolving, helping each other. So it's a very unique way we do things, but each group that I belong to, each group that I have, that's exactly what it's about. So it's not necessarily about me, even though I'm, the center figure of it. It is really about each other connecting with each other and moving forward in our lives, making that transition.
Oh my goodness. I love that image of the next, the first person reaching back, lending a hand and helping the next one up. It sounds to some degree, I want to say mentorship, but maybe not quite that, but would you call it a mentorship?
Yeah, it probably is, because I think it's an experience of life. And so what happens is those that are participating in the group, and the more you participate in the group, the more you get out of it. And the more you help others, the more, the happier, I think, and whole you become. And so what happens is those that have experienced something, they'll hear from others, and then they reach forward and they say, hey, I know what you've been going through. This happened to me, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, our stories are all different, but they're all similar. And so it really is nice to be able to connect with others. And so it's a constantly evolving transition. And I think that's what the beauty of it is. So we're evolving from relationship loss, which is almost destroying at times, then moving forward into building a new life for ourselves, something we never anticipated before, and then becoming accustomed to our surroundings and being okay with where we're at, and then reaching even further. So when you're going on that transition of dating, you start actually dating, you start meeting other people, it raises your vibration to another level. So you're attracting really good quality people into your life. And if you're not, if you're dating and you're out there and you're having struggles and you're attracting these people that you're saying, why am I meeting these kind of people? It's because you're not there yet, and you need to continue to heal yourself and reach out to someone like yourself, that can help them to be able to move forward. We have wonderful coaches all around that can reach out and help. And so that's really what it's about, is to really encourage people to continue on their path, their own journey.
Did you have a coach or a mentor when you were going through your divorce?
Well, I had the group, and so that's what helped me. And then I was very fortunate because I was in touch with Peggy and Randy Cooper, who are their coaches for the divorce coaching. And so I became good friends with them. I took their course, and that really did help me to, try to get a little bit more centered, a little bit more balanced within my life. And so it was amazing. And then all of the things that goodness have come about. I mean, the radio station. And do you want me to share with you how that started?
Absolutely. Please do.
Because it's amazing. I went to a really good friend of mine had a show, Connie Rose, and I went to her show, she does great work, Victims to Survivors. If you've ever went through any kind of abuse, she's excellent. And I went to her, I was on her show, and when it came out, they offered me a radio spot. They said, listen, we would love to have you. It's all internet based. And so we would love to have you on as a guest, as a radio host. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, I could barely make it through this session. But I thought, if this is the path I'm supposed to be on, I'll try it. Let me do it. So my first show, I almost passed out. And I want to thank Eric Rummel for having faith in me. So he's the one that started it with Life Improvement Radio. And so we started Life After Divorce, and then we evolved into Going Solo with Cece. But the beauty of it is as I make my transition in my own life, I'm touching other people, and they're coming into my life. They're like drifting through, and moving through. And so I've made all these great, wonderful friends. And so within that great friends like Chuck Bryant reached out and said, my divorce support group said, we would like to have something in the middle of the night at 3:00. We don't have to go and hunt on Google to try to find something. So my good friend Chuck Bryant said, you know what, we can make that happen. So we started a live streaming radio station, and then wonderful hosts that are just goodness out of their hearts. They come on, they do shows, and we have wonderful guests that come on, and then now I'm here with you. And so what a blessing, So it just keeps evolving. And again, it's that pay it forward. We help each other, and then we move on and we help someone else and they help us. And it's just really a wonderful embracing life that we can have if we just, so let ourselves open to that.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I love how it's really just one thing after another evolved into this space that you're supporting so many people with those messages. And the show in the middle of the night, that's like a genius idea. I love that.
Yeah. Oh. So you can go on the station and you see it, and you can hear it. It's the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. It's called Going Solo Media now, because we've now started live streaming TV. Because all of these wonderful shows that we do, now we're able to put those on. And so if you go on our site, on the Going Solo Media site, we have them broken down into dating, because the ones that are divorced, they don't want to listen to dating shows, and vice versa. So we have them broken down like that. We have business shows, because singles, it's all geared towards singles. So we have shows that will cover everything for them. And we like to branch out more and do a little bit more. And I'm just excited about the path it's going. And I'm getting ready with a good friend of mine, Kit Smith. We're going to start our own, with the help of all of our wonderful friends and mentors. We're going to start our own dating site. And so I'm really excited about it. It's called Date the Right One.
Nice. And so that's goingsolonetwork.com, correct?
Well, my whole platform is goingsolonetwork.com. So you can go there and see everything that I'm doing. The new site's called datetherightone.com. And then the radio station itself is goingsolomedia.com. But if you go on Going Solo Network or Going Solo Media, you'll find it. Or just find me on Facebook. Listen, I'm like everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, I'm everywhere. You're the girl. When I meet people, they go, oh yeah, I've seen you.
Yeah, I Googled you and I was like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Yeah, no, that was awesome. So we've got some live guests here with us. Just want to give a quick shout out to Jo Hole. She's saying it's all about the small step. And I agree with that, Jo. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that, Cece, I love that you mentioned earlier, you said something along the lines of we all go at our own pace. Everyone's story is a little different and yet similar. And I think that's really important to acknowledge, because a lot of people I know believe that if they're getting divorced, then they have failed in some way. Personally, I'm not a fan of the word failure. I don't believe that any experience is a failure, because there's always something to learn from every experience. But nevertheless, I understand what someone means by that. Would you like to speak to that? Do you have any thoughts about people thinking that a divorce means they've failed in any way?
Oh, sure. Even myself, I thought the same thing. I thought, I cannot believe this is happening. What could I have done differently? But now, after 10 years of being divorced, I look back at it as actually a blessing, because when I look at my life then, I was not happy. I mean, there were happy moments within my life. I mean, we were married for, I think like 16 years, something like that, and together for a few other years too. But and I look back now and I'm very grateful for what I gained with my ex-husband. We traveled. I learned a lot of different cultures. We lived in England for 3 years. There was a lot of things that I would not have done or embraced or got to know without that. And so I'm very grateful for that. But now, looking at my life right now and at the time when I was divorced, I think what a blessing, because I wasn't happy. I don't know if I would have been happy had I continued on. I probably would have just existed within my life. And now I feel like my life is full because I have a choice. You know, I have a choice to get up in the morning and do what I want to do that's going to not only help me, but help others. It's going to make a difference in, I feel, in my world and in others people's world. And so I look at it totally different now. And not that I'm saying that divorce is good, because I would love to see everybody get married, live happily ever after. You know, I would have loved to have been one of those people. But because of where I am now, I think this is maybe my journey that I'm supposed to go on. And so sometimes we have to kind of accept things and then try to make the best of it. It's all baby steps. And so I would say anyone, if they're going through struggles, they're going to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And it's kind of like, and even dating, it's like a dance. So, you know, you just have to keep the movement, you know, to keep going forward and the momentum of keep going forward, even though you might take a sideways step here and there and a little, you know, hop backwards. But if you just keep that momentum, that positive momentum going, connect with someone like yourself, a coach or someone that can inspire you and keep you out of the ruts that we find, you know, within our path. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, life is not a given, right?
Yeah, I know, you know, I know for me, when I was going through my divorce, I would have a period of a few days where I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm just like you were saying, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? I'm doing good. Everything's going great. I'm healing. I'm releasing all of this. And then something unexpected would come up. And all of a sudden I just feel, you know, like that's it, the end of the world again. And it was a cycle for quite a while. And, but with each of those cycles, you are moving forward. So what did you, when you were going through your divorce, what did you learn about yourself as you were going through that experience? Maybe things that you didn't expect to learn.
Well, I learned that I gave too much, you know, that I didn't step back and say whether this was going to be good for me or not. I gave up a career. I basically gave up my life. My whole center of my universe was built around my ex and what his plan was for himself, what he was. So here I am in my 50s and I don't have a career. I stopped college. I didn't finish college. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord, now what are you going to do? You know? And of course, you know, I didn't come out of the divorce very well at all, because I was the one not planning for the divorce. So it you know, I was just totally hit between the eyes, even though I'm the one that chose to step out of it. I'm the one that filed for divorce, but I did not realize all the planning that was going on. You know, when you feel like something's not right and you go ahead and you make a step going forward and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, you know, now I know why things were falling apart. It's because the other party was already planning, you know, to step out of the marriage. But it is where it is. And so the thing is you have to just say to yourself, you know, okay, where am I going to go for here? What am I going to do? And then connect with those that can support you through some of those difficult times. And so that's basically what I did. I was very, very fortunate to have good, solid people in my life. And I still do. I still have those wonderful people that lift you up. And so, you know, I think the divorce support group has just been a godsend for me and for anyone that I think that's been in it.
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to, we've got Neil watching with us. And he says, learn from the experience, good and bad. Completely agree with that, Neil. And we've got the Muffin Man saying today was a good day, yesterday not so much. And you know, for anybody that's watching who's either already been through a divorce or maybe you're currently going through one, you know, what are you learning about yourself? What new things are arising that may fall into that category of, oh, I've got this little gift or this little nugget, this little bright shining thing of hope that's maybe arisen as a result of you going through this experience. And, you know, Cece, that's why I wanted to ask you, you know, what did you learn about yourself? Because I think that a lot of those things that we learn unexpectedly while we're going through something that's can be very painful and frustrating, we may not be able to see that it's a gift in the moment. But the more time goes on and you realize, oh my gosh, you know, you've reconnected with yourself. You've gotten to get reacquainted with yourself, know who you are on a deeper level. I'm speaking in general. I know that, that was my experience, and I think many other people's experiences. And so those can be areas where it's like, wow, I am so grateful to have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cece,
one thing I do realize that I struggled with, and I still struggle with, and I think a lot of people out there do too, is setting our boundaries. And so that's one thing I didn't do in my relationship with my ex. And it's something that I've learned that, and still to today, it's still difficult for me to step back and say, whoa, wait a minute, this is not going to work for me. This isn't good for me, or don't talk to me like that, or don't treat me like that, And so feeling that I'm worthy now of something really great, I deserve greatness in my life. That has been, probably a good learning experience for me. It's something that I have learned. And so, I think anyone out there that's if they're going through hardship right now, if they're thinking to themselves, they're really suffering, then what I would say to them is that they need to just take a breath and think about what can you learn at this very moment. Because once we figure out what it is that we have to learn, we can then make a change. We can make that shift. I call it the movement of choice. We can make that movement and be able to take that sidestep and maybe go a little bit further in our lives. But, I just think it's a journey, and we just have to enjoy it, right? Embrace it.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your support group again, because I think that's fantastic. Is that something that people can join virtually from anywhere in the world, or is it only a physical in-person group?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because I am working on a more national site. So right now, the site that I have, you can join, because it is, of course, on the internet, but it's on a meetup group, and it's called My Friends Connect, social divorce social group. And so you can, but the problem with that is that it is geared towards our particular area, the Tampa Bay area. So I am embracing to be able to, and I'm hoping by the end of the year that I have that other side up that people can join, because, I was just listening to the radio this morning, and they were saying that this is the breakup time. And it is, when you start heading into the holidays, and they were talking about that. Why do people break up so much around the holidays? And I think there's a lot of, and we could probably talk about this for a long time, but I think there's a lot of things. And one is, number one, the pressures of the holidays. The other one is our expectations of what we think our future should be, what our lives should actually be like. And then we tend to be a little bit disappointed, because sometimes we think our expectation of what this holiday is supposed to be like isn't. And so then we become disappointed in that. And then we want that change, because we're saying to ourselves, okay, is this what my life is? I mean, I need something different. And so then you start getting these changes that happen within your life. So we could probably go on this topic for a long time, but I thought it was amazing that today they were talking about that on the radio. And it's true. It really, the breakup time comes between now and after Christmas into January. And then you get into February, and then everybody wants to be with somebody because it's Valentine's, and they don't want to, and then you're heading Valentine's, and then you're going into June when all the marriages are. And so it does evolve. There's a lot of shift that takes place when you start hitting Halloween, really, and then moving forward.
I know some people, I'm getting a huge echo. Sorry. Okay, I think it went away. So I know some people specifically wait to not break up because of the holidays too, right? Like, oh, it's Christmas, so I can't break up yet. Or next it's her birthday, I can't break up then. And they keep finding these reasons to not break up. And I can understand it both ways. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, it's true. A lot of times I think it's because of your family, especially if you have children. You hate to, especially on the holidays, break up then, because your kids you've ruined their Thanksgiving or their Christmas. And so they'll want to stay together. But then when the new year comes, then there's something about January that everybody gets. I mean, we go on a diet and we make our New Year's resolutions and we do all of these things. And so we create this massive change, this wave of change that we want to create in our lives. And so it's a time for us to evaluate, number one, where we are, where we've been, where we are, and where on the heck are we going? And so that's why I think you get it. But I really would encourage anyone, if they are about to break up, to try, and you've got kids, try to hang on until, the first of the year, because it really is heart-wrenching. And if you are going to break up, start doing some preparations ahead of time, because if you've got children, you want to try to set the pace for them. You want to help them with that. And Rosalind Sadaka, she's anyone knows her, you can Google her on Facebook. She's wonderful. She does a lot with children, helping couples be able to get through divorce and still have their kids being healthy. And I tell you, I listened to her night and day when I was going through my divorce. And I think it helped a great deal with my son, because I have a 15-year-old, the baby in the group, and my other kids are grown and gone. But I've even noticed a difference in them. It's difficult for even older kids too. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, one of the awesome things about what you do is you really help people to walk in their new single life and have fun with it. Will you share with us some tips or some ways that people can start to have fun with this new single identity of theirs?
Well, I think number one, the first thing is to be able to accept where you're at, because so often we don't want to be there. And so, we've got this taboo of what single life should be. Either, you've got in your mindset, it's, you're swingers and you're out having, party, but that's not really what being single is. And I think the better way to do is really get a group of friends that support you and connect with them, and really start to understand yourself. Give yourself that time to be able to dig you, understand what you're about. What movies do you like? What do you like to listen to? What do you like to do? Start putting the joy back in your life. And what I have found, especially within my group, is that a lot of them have touched on the arts. Those things they have put aside when they were younger, painting, sculpting. I have one lady that's an actress now. Comedian, a gentleman's going to be on a new show we're doing, Boy and Girl Thing. He's a comedian, and so he started that. And so, look at what you really enjoy, and start embracing that. So let that evolve who you are. And again, the happier you become, the higher it raises your vibration. I don't want everyone to stay single. That's not really, everybody says, well, going solo, you just want everybody to be single. I really don't. I would love for you to meet your match. I would love for you to find the right one and be with them forever and ever and ever, and be happy and just live a wonderful life. But in the meantime, you got to be okay with who you are. And so being single is about embracing yourself. And I think you can just live your very best life if that's what you need to do right then, right there.
Absolutely. What about those people who get divorced and then within 6 months, they're already in a new relationship? And I'll just leave it at that. Do you have any thoughts about that? Or what's been your experience with supporting people that are in that space where they keep trying to fill that gap by being in a new relationship?
Well, you have any type of relationship loss. Sometimes there's such sorrow in the loss of that. And so when you're, let's say during a death, the widows or widowers, they tend to want to get married right away because they really loved having a partner. They really love, they relish that. They want to be in another relationship. Now, those that are going through divorce are usually in a lot of pain. And so when they connect with someone, it might be wonderful for them to do that, but have they completely healed through that pain? And so they're just making a shift, and so the marriage may very well work out, but 9 chances out of 10, there's going to be a lot more work you have to do within that relationship, because things are going to continue to surface. You haven't dealt with it. Because here's the reality. Even though my ex was not the best, husband for me at times, I wasn't the best wife. And I know that now. I know that there were elements within our relationship. And so I think that in order to be able to heal and move forward, you have to understand the relationship you played in the part of your demise of your relationship. You have to understand the part you played in it. If you don't, you're going to carry that into the next relationship. And so I think that that's very important. I really love it that we've got these great viewers and the listeners here with us tonight. And I just so love the fact that they join us and take the time out. And I hope if they are not here and they can listen to the rebroadcast, that they know how much appreciated we are to have them take the time out to be with us.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, we have a viewer who's actually requesting for you to talk about the healing process. Would you go ahead and elaborate on that?
Well, the healing process is so different for everyone, really, so each step as you go along. But there are certain things that you can do that will help you. For the first thing you have to start filling yourself with positive. And so the ways of doing that is, number one, you want to start shifting that mindset that you have. And so it's better to listen to tapes that are good for you, that something that I listen to Audible books. So that's very good. Listen to music that's uplifting to you. Start hanging around with people that are positive. If someone is giving you a hard time or they don't understand what you're going through, love them where they're at, but move forward and find someone else that can support you, and so you want to start. I think the healing process starts when you start really appreciating yourself and being understanding that you're going to have to take time to do this. So you want to, number one, start finding your joy. So you want to keep filling yourself up with good, positive things. You want to get some sleep. Sleep is hard when you're hurting. So you want to get some sleep. You want to talk to somebody. You need to get a coach, a therapist. I recommend going and getting a coach along with a therapist, because a therapist isn't there for you all the time, and a coach can deal with different issues. So it's good to have both if you can do it. And just really start hanging with people that really uplift you and that are positive and that you can talk to. Not that you want to hear your sorrows all the time, because no one wants a pity party 100%, but you do want someone that can say, okay, I get what you're going through. I get it. And here's a hug, or, let's just, have and be careful of alcohol. I mean, that's one thing I would definitely say, be very, very careful, because during your healing time, during that healing process, you'll reach for other things of comfort. And so alcohol can catch up with you, and it can put you in another tailspin that you've never even imagined. So you want to be very careful with alcohol. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I would say listen to my shows, Going Solo with Cece, and you can hear a lot of them. A lot of great guests are on there. I'm on YouTube. Our station is on there. So all of the wonderful shows are right up there for you to listen to anytime you want.
I think that a lot of people, when we're going through something like divorce or anything that's really painful, we can think that we are so alone. And I think that's what really drives home your point about connecting with other people, getting a coach or a therapist or both, because as much as you may feel like you're alone, you're really not. There are a lot of other people out there going through this, and whatever, even the unique aspects of your own healing journey in some ways are probably not as unique as you might think they are. So I think it's really nice to be able to have someone else to be a mirror for us and let us know, you're not alone. You're not going crazy. I've had that thought before too, or, to be able to just bounce things off of and know that, okay, yeah, this is new territory for me, but, others have been through it too. And, everything's going to be okay. There is life beyond this experience.
Right. So, just so people would know the difference between a therapist, like a counselor, a licensed therapist, and a coach, the I think the difference for me is that a therapist, they deal with maybe things were in your past. You know, they go down deep into maybe your childhood. There could have been something that happened to you then that's affecting you now, and you don't even realize it. So they can really home in on some things like that that can be helpful to me, to be able to move you forward. A coach is someone that kind of helps you with day to day, kind of getting you through some of what's happening to you right now. And they talk to you about what it is those roadblocks are there for you. So you can start to understand, okay, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? You know, because it's me that's feeling this way. You know, it's my mind. What can I do to shift my mind? And so coaches are really great for that. So a lot of people don't really understand the difference between the two. A therapist can also do coaching work too. You can do, there are some out there that do that too, but they are two different, you know, facets of them that are extremely different from each other at times.
Absolutely. Yes. I tend to think of coaches as looking ahead, moving forward. It's more of the wellness focus, which of course the past comes up too. But so I see it, you know, past versus future, but I know that I keep bringing up my experience, but it's coming up. So I'm just going to share because you might be able to relate to this as well. So I know that when I was going through my divorce and I was seeing a therapist, I wish I'd known about coaches. I just didn't back then. They weren't as prevalent as they are today because it's a continually growing industry. But back then, I remember going and, you know, things were going great and I had sessions weekly. And so, you know, maybe I had a session on Monday and by, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm thinking, I'm doing great. I don't need to go anymore. And I remember so many times being like this close to canceling my session. And then I'm like, okay, fine. You know, I didn't cancel it yet. I might as well go. And within like the first 5 minutes of the session, all of a sudden I'd be breaking down crying. This may or may not be your experience, but I'd be breaking down crying because yet again, she was able to connect to something that I just was oblivious to, right? We can't always see our own blind spots. And so it was such a fantastic experience because those things from, you know, whether it be from the divorce or something way before I ever got married, continued to surface, and I was able to clear them out and reframe them and heal through all of that. So yeah, I just want to share that because I can understand you are on that healing journey and you are doing great, and only you will know when you're ready to, you know, say, okay, I'm done. But, you know, it might be something that, again, is that one step forward, two steps back, or vice versa. So awesome. Well, we've got some more comments here. The Muffin Man is saying thanks. I'm glad. Thank you for asking her to speak about the healing process. And we've got a huge comment here from Murphy Thomas. It's going to actually take up both of our faces, but let's go ahead. And I'm just going to highlight this really quick. You're saying social engineering versus natural human energy of love that we all are. Those days of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, and so on are man-made. Sorry, but I think way too deep and really never could feel much solace in any of it. I believe we are seeing the undoing of those social structures, and it is, of course, a painful process for so many of us. I've been there, and the undoing is so tough. My heart bleeds for those that have to go through it all. They say the truth will set you free, but will first piss you off. Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Tom.
Yeah, that was a lot. Thank you. And you know what? It was. You could tell that he put some thought into it. Yeah. And so I really appreciate that. And I think, you know, he is probably right because all those holidays are probably pretty much man-made or Hallmark Valentine's and things like that. But it is true about the social, our social habits, the social things that we get into, you know, our existence, it is creating that, how we view relationships. And so, I mean, that's probably a whole nother deeper subject we can go on, and need a glass of wine and, you know, a long evening would be great to discuss those heavy duty topics. But, you know, I get what he's saying. I totally get it.
Yeah. I think why things like the holidays come up is because when you're married, that can become your identity, right? You're a married person. And so there may be certain things that you do as a married person that as soon as you're single, just don't quite happen, right? That you're not as a couple going out, maybe with other couples, or having, maybe you don't have dinner parties over at your house anymore. Or when you go shopping for groceries, you're now shopping for one versus maybe it was 2 or 4, or however many it was. Those everyday things that just become part of how we live all, get broken up, and we have to reassess. Wait a second, I don't need to buy, all these groceries. I can just get by with 1 or 2, bags or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will share something that happened to me. It's like, I think what happens to a lot of people too is like when you first start a relationship, everything is so rosy and wonderful, and all the holidays you're all happy and you're celebrating together and get you gifts and whatever goes on. And I remember, my last Valentine's Day, my ex used to always buy me something, and I'm not a real present wise anyhow, but he used to always kind of make a big thing of it. And I remember my very last Valentine's, he didn't even remember. Now I know that he knew it was Valentine's, but he didn't acknowledge it. And it hurt me to the core. And it wasn't the fact that I wanted him to buy me something. It was the fact that I wanted him to acknowledge that I was, his one, his only one, his sweetheart or whatever. And I remember when I finally, he had his secretary ask me what the problem was, what was wrong. Oh, yeah. Wow. And I said, well, he forgot about Valentine's Day. And she said, well, what do you want? He'll get you something. What do you want? He'll buy you something. And I said, it's not about him buying something. So then later on, as we started talking about it, and I said, so when did I stop being your sweetheart? When did that happen? And he didn't reply. He just, Yeah. And that's when I knew, okay, we are in trouble. Our relationship is really in trouble. And that's what I mean when I think that, we start becoming disappointed, because I anticipated my future to be different with him. Right. And that realization right then is that, oh yeah, my relationship was very different than what I had anticipated it to be. And so here I am divorced. But, so I think that, the holidays, sometimes it opens our eyes as to, are people really appreciating us? Are they thinking about us? It's not necessarily what you can buy somebody. It's not really that. It's about the appreciation, the love you show for one another. And so when that starts lacking, and during the times when it's supposed to be, when you're really supposed to do it, you should do it all the time. But when you don't do it on those special occasions, then it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening?
When it comes to the people that you work with, whether it be in your support group or maybe listeners of your shows, have you noticed a difference in how men and women handle divorce and move into the, becoming a single person again?
Yeah, because I have a great deal of male followers, and it's amazing that that men will, because most time women are emotional. Women will be vocal. They'll share things and whatever. Men don't always do that. So men handle it a little bit different. They're not as, and they can be emotional. I have had many men break down and cry and with my group and with me and share some of their deepest, painful moments. But they do it in a much more, I don't know if I want to say reserved, but it's kind of a respectful way. And I think that I understand that and I get that. And I think that's why they resonate with me. Mm-hmm. And also because I've been on the other side of it, where when you go, the whole theory of, well, you get a divorce and the wife gets everything and this and that. Well, I'm on the other side where I got raked over the coals. So I can kind of relate to what some of the guys go through. And not that all men go through that and not that all women go through that. So it can be very different. But but they do handle it differently. But they look at things logically. A man will look at something and say, how can I fix it? What do I need to do to fix this problem? And you point me in the direction and I'll make it happen. Women, on the other hand, we want to talk about it and vocal about it, and we want to cry about it. We want you to, pat us in the back a few times. We want to go over it a few more times. So a man will kind of deal with it as they go. So yeah, they do it differently. Do they hurt differently? I don't think so. I think men might tend to be a little bit more quiet about the pain that they go through, but they go through it. They definitely go through it.
I also just want to give a shout out for any men who are, I'm getting the feedback. Sorry, it always throws me. Any men who are going through a divorce right now and maybe it feels uncomfortable to experience those emotions or to cry. I just personally need to give a plug and say, please allow yourself to do that, because that is very healing. It's good to release that. It's healthy. And your emotions are also informational. So the obvious may be, well, I'm crying because I'm sad, but there can be more that comes through as you allow yourself to feel what's going on with you. So just wanted to say that because you are human too. And absolutely, please let yourself feel any emotions that are coming up for you. So Cece, what do you do to support, what have you done over the years of going through your divorce, being single, moving forward, to love yourself, to feed your own soul and not necessarily need someone else to fill that void in you, if you ever thought of it that way? What do you do for you?
Well, I do a lot of things. I mean, I love to dance. And so I get back into dancing, connecting with people. Of course, I'm a very social person. My ex wasn't. And so I didn't even have any friends. I mean, I just wasn't allowed to have any friends. And so now I have a lot of friends. I do a lot of things, and doggone it, if I want to do it, I do it. I don't ask anybody, and I don't feel guilty about doing it. And so, I mean, I'm still reaching out. I'm still doing other things, and the internet, and, I've made my own websites. I've, created the shows. I edit the shows. I want to learn how to edit the video, which I don't know how to do yet. And so I'm learning things. I'm doing things. I'm kind of getting out of my own box. I'd like to get into public speaking, which I've never done before. And so, who knew I would even be doing what I'm doing now? So all this stuff that I do, I love it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. I just love it. And so along the way, I'm helping others. I'm helping me. So it's all win. It's a win-win all the way around.
I love it. You're giving yourself permission to explore and to do things that pique your interest and that you enjoy. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. I love it very much.
Wonderful. Well, after the show, I can certainly give you some tips on a really easy, affordable resource on editing videos. I'll just say that now. But okay. As far as public speaking, in my mind, you're already doing that. You're doing that right now here on the show. You're doing that as you host your shows. You're doing that, in your support groups. And it sounds like the next right step or evolution of what you're doing. Take it to the next next level. So that's very exciting for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm excited for you, all that you're doing. And it's lovely. The show I know the show is reaching people and touching them and changing lives. So it's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, Cece, is there anything else you'd really like to share with our audience today, to support them as they move from divorce to being this fun single person?
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing I would like to leave with them is that where you are today is not where you'll be tomorrow.
That's what I say.
You have a choice. You have a choice in it, and so you can put one step in, one foot in front of the other, and take that giant leap. If that's what you so choose, or you can sit back for a little bit and kind of live in your moment. So it's totally up to you, and it's a blessing. So, I feel we have a path. And so sometimes instead of trying to climb through the window, maybe we need to walk through the door.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. Wonderful. Well, let's remind people, where can they connect with you? I know there's goingsolonetwork.com where they can find out about all your media. And are there any websites you'd like to share?
Yeah, the Going Solo, GoingSoloNetwork.com. That's where all the groups are. And so if you want to join them, there's links in there that you join. Very inexpensive to join it. Then if you want to connect on the radio and on the TV, that's GoingSoloMedia.com. WGSN is a live streaming radio station, and we also have it on YouTube. And if you want to connect to the brand new site we're going to be having, you can't connect yet, but it's going to be here soon. That is Date the Right One. And so we're going to have mentors and people that are going to help you be able to answer any questions and problems that you might have as you're going through dating. Because I think as we're evolving, we continue to need, help in our growth. And so that's what it's there for. It really takes dating to a deeper level. And so we're very excited about bringing that forward.
That's wonderful. Well, Cece, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really enjoyed hearing you speak on this subject and share all the resources that you've made available to people. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. You're a blessing. And this has been a gift. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our live viewers, as well as those who are watching the replay. If you are watching the replay, please do go ahead and also comment below. Let us know what you're taking away from this conversation. Have questions arisen for you? Are you starting to maybe see how some of the new experiences you're having are gifts, or maybe how some of the painfulness of going through the divorce actually can also be a gift? There is no right or wrong. And I love that Cece also talks about you get to go at your own pace. So please be mindful of that and allow yourself to have your experience of this, while also knowing that you are not alone. There are support groups out there. Cece's is in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. Of course, she's got tons of other resources through her radio network that you can also connect to. And, if you aren't in Tampa Bay, you can listen to her show and, of course, have that as a source of support for you. And just know, Cece literally took the words out of my mouth. Wherever you are today does not have to be where you are tomorrow. Every day truly is a new day. And I'm so grateful to have you here today. So whether today was an off day or a fantastic day, I hope you feel the love and support that is out there for you. And I'm sending you a virtual hug right now. And if you'd like to find out about future episodes of the Every Day is a New Day show, again, you can find us on Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching, and O'Neill is O'Neill. We air most Wednesdays live at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with replays over on YouTube. And there may be some adjustments happening in the new year. So stay tuned. You can connect with me on Facebook and, of course, receive all those notifications about any changes. I look forward to seeing you on the next show. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.